Yeah?
I'm sorry, who are you?
What? Who are you?
This is 476 Barbary, right?
I don't know. Yeah. I think so.
You don't know?
No. I don't live here. I'm renting this place. It's the middle of the night. I don't have it top of my head, the address.
No, I'm renting this place.
What? Are you sure you have the right place?
Yeah, I booked it like a month ago.
This is unbelievable.
What am I supposed to do?
I don't know. Why don't you come inside and we'll call these idiots.
I'm not the biggest fan of horror films, as I've talked about a bunch on this channel, and boy, do they make a bunch of them. It's basically superhero movies, some sci-fi, and a lot of horror movies in theaters. But I do like it when I go and see a good, well-made movie, and that's precisely what Barbarian is. It's from first-time writer-director, at least in the film world, Zach Cregger. He's an actor that has transitioned to work behind the camera, and he's assembled an impressive cast. He's got Bill Skarsgård in here, he's got Georgina Campbell, and he's got Justin Long, among many others. And he's put together a tight, contemporary horror film that I think will appease and entertain almost every aspect, every quadrant of the horror movie space out there, because there's a lot of psychological creep in this movie, and then there's some blunt force drama and trauma, and there's some real scares, some stuff that is in your mind, like the idea about booking an Airbnb, and it's in the most despicable part of a town that's all dilapidated, and it's very scary, and I think that's very much a fear that we all have every time we press that, okay, we'll rent this space when we travel to a new city. I know I've stayed in lots of hotels and Airbnbs where it's like, I don't know if we should have stayed here. But thankfully nothing like what happens to Tess Marshall, played by Georgina Campbell, ever happened to me, because this is really freaky. Basically, she shows up to her Airbnb. It's in a devastated neighborhood in Detroit. All the houses around the one that she has rented are dark and spooky and scary. It's pouring rain. She tries to open the door and realizes that somebody's already in there. It's Bill Skarsgård. Yes, it. And he opens the door, and they basically come to a begrudging agreement to cohabitate and share this Airbnb because it's just too scary out there. So, yeah, we're on edge, and we're terrified. Bill Skarsgård has the ability to put us on edge, you know, just those eyes. But he puts in some really good work, and Georgina Campbell is terrific in this. And there's some really interesting pivots and interesting threads and loopbacks around the story and this property and this house and what it means. And Justin Long gets interwoven in this, and he plays a character that is very different from, I think, most of the personalities and most of the characters that we know and really like this guy for. But he's a magnificent presence on screen, and he's really good in this movie. And there's some horrible stuff and some hard stuff to take and hard stuff to watch. There's a little bit of social commentary. We absolutely get into the headspace of all of these characters, and they're given great dialogue. That's the one thing. Like, this movie not only evokes a lot of, you know, horror staples and cliches and tropes that we have seen over the years, but there's also kind of a deconstruction, like a Tarantino-esque kind of deconstruction of it, and characters that are a little bit on the uptake here. You know, they've kind of figured out some of the dilemmas that they're in, and they're smarter than a lot of the horror characters that we've seen in the past.
Nope.
And some really good work from everyone. And most impressively by Zach Cregger, who has never done this before, you know, and has kind of assembled this dream project. But he's written a great script with some real sizzle in the dialogue and lots for the actors to pull from and entertain us with. And it works on a bunch of really interesting levels. Like, it's not just a gore slasher film. There's a lot more going on in here. And the cool thing is I saw it in a packed theater, and I think this is a good movie to see in theaters, quite frankly, because everybody felt like they were along for the ride, you know? Like it was some screams, some scares, some no, you know, the exact stuff that you want to hear in a horror movie. And what's interesting is I actually had a chance to sit down with Zach Cregger and talk to him about how this stuff came together. I'm going to run that right after this review. But this is a very well-made movie, and it's entertaining. Even coming from a guy like me who really tries to stay away from the horror stuff, I enjoyed Barbarian a lot. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Zach Cregger is with me. He is the writer-director of Barbarian. Zach, welcome to the Electric Playground. How you doing?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on this movie. I understand that this is the first film that you are bringing out to theaters that you wrote and directed. How does that feel?
It's very exciting. You know, it's a little nerve-wracking. It's your baby, and so you're kind of like letting go of the bike and watching your kid kind of take off down the hill. And I hope it doesn't hit any trees. But people seem to be really responding to it, so it's been a real thrill.
Dude, I saw on Twitter you've got Fede Alvarez, you've got James Gunn, Edgar Wright singing the praises of your. How does that feel, man? That must be incredible.
I'm pinching myself. It's crazy. It's crazy. It feels good.
So horror movies are a thing that you've always been into. What is it about horror films that attracts you to them? I'm
into anything that takes me out of my own head, and so. You know, a horror movie is visceral. You know, it commands all of your attention. Like it's one of the few kinds of movies that just usurps all of me. And so I like being not in here, being out there. And I also love being scared. It's fun to be scared, and the endorphins are released, and then when it's over, you get that residual high. It's almost like a drug. I love it.
Well, you've described this movie as kind of like a roller coaster ride, like you want people to be laughing and screaming and putting their hands up in the air in the theater. Yeah. Is that what you're shooting for when you're putting this together?
Yeah, absolutely. I want people to scream and laugh, and I want people to hate it at moments, feel betrayed by it at times, and then get one back around. You know, this movie intentionally disorients the audience here and there, and I think that is a fun thing to play with as long as you earn it back, and I think it does. So yeah, I love seeing this with a crowd. It is always a blast.
It must be tough to put a trailer together on a film that you've kept so closely guarded and filled with secrets and twists and turns. You probably don't want to talk about this thing that much, I would imagine.
It's tough. Less is more. I think they did a great job of cutting the trailer because it looks scary. It's appropriate to the tone of the movie generally, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. And they've preserved. You know, this is a movie that twists and turns a lot, and I was worried that was going to get obliterated by the marketing campaign, but they have not done that. They've been really, really expert.
Terrific cast in this movie, and fantastic gets with Bill Skarsgård and Justin Long.
I know.
Talk to me about bringing those two, and I mean everybody's good, but talk to me particularly about those two, bringing those two into the mix.
Bill was like my dream cast for this because he has this quality. He's attractive and repulsive simultaneously. And you know, and he has this history with horror. You know, he played Pennywise, like the most iconic face in horror of the last 20 years. There's no way around it. He is. And so the moment he opens the door, people are feel a way about it.
They're on edge.
You know, and that's great. That you can't buy that.
That kind of sucks for Bill Skarsgård, though, doesn't it? I mean,
Bill's doing just fine. Bill.
I guess so, right? Yeah. He's cashing the checks.
Yeah, he's all right. So that was a real coup to get him. And, you know, it helped to have Roy Lee, who's the producer of it, also produced Barbarian. So Roy helped, you know, get the script in front of him and set up a Zoom. And then Justin, you know, his character on the page is just this real vile, terrible person. And so I knew that to cast an actor who could play evil was not the best way to go. It would be better to filter that character through a vessel of like fun and charm. And, you know, Justin's
the
like
Apple
Tom
guy.
Hanks, you know, he's just I know. You like him. And so I wanted as much likability as I could to make this person really complex and more terrifying.
That's awesome. I read that you got the call that this movie was going forward while you were playing video games in your underwear.
I was in bed at 9 a.m. playing video games in my underwear, and my phone rings, And I answer it, and it's like, hey, Zach, it's Roy Lee. I don't know who that is. I'm like, okay. And he's like, hey, I read your script. I think it's great. I was like, okay. He's like, how much do you think it'll cost? I was like, I don't, like, under $5 million. He's like, all right, I think we could make it. I was like, I don't know who you are. He's like, I'm Roy Lee. I'm like, I don't know what that means, man. And he's like, oh, I made The Departed and It and the Lego movie. I was just like, and then I like standing up and I'm like walking around.
Oh my
like,
God.
Oh, okay.
Looking for
cool,
pants.
cool. Dude, it was that day changed my life. It was crazy.
That is amazing. That is like a Hollywood fable right there.
I know.
That's so cool.
It's so funny. Yeah.
What game were you playing? You're a big gamer, clearly.
I think I was probably playing Demon Souls.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Are you a filmmaker that looks at video games and is inspired by them and thinks maybe one day you would be able to play in that playground in some capacity?
No. No, and I actually think video games has kind of ruined a lot of movies for me because like when I watch a big budget action movie, I'm actually really bored because I'm like, I could be playing a video game where I could have access to all this, but I could be a participant. So I can really tune out when I watch some of these big, gigantic, epic sort of things.
Well, I won't ask your opinion of the Uncharted movie then.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Couldn't tell you.
Very diplomatic answer. Congratulations. Congratulations, Zach. Great to meet you and
as well.
much success. Looking forward to your next one, my friend.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.